Hey, what's up? I don't know. Boom. Yeah, bloopers. So let's talk about the homeless crisis that goes on throughout Los Angeles here. So in the last 2 years of me living in California, I have learned a lot about the homeless crisis that goes on throughout the state, especially in Los Angeles. I've seen a lot of people basically live in cardboard boxes. I have seen people live in tents. I have seen people live in RVs off the side of the road. I have seen people live in their vehicles. I was one of those people at one time. I have basically seen it all. A lot of people assume that the entire Los Angeles County is full of homeless people, and that is not true. Los Angeles is like basically over 50 miles of land, basically, and it really all depends on what area you go to. If you go into a rich area like Burbank, Pasadena, you go to Malibu, go to Beverly Hills, you ain't gonna see no homelessness. But if you go to like other places like downtown Los Angeles, you're gonna see homelessness. If you go to Venice Beach, you're gonna see homelessness. You know, you're gonna get the rich areas, and then you're gonna get to not so rich areas. And like East Los Angeles, you're gonna see a lot of homelessness. So I think it just really depends on what part of the city you go to. So just recently, Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, has just recently issued a executive order to clean up homeless encampments. So I guess the order is that cities, like the suburban cities of Los Angeles, basically they have to follow this executive order, and if they don't, they can actually lose funding for their city. So I guess they're really mandating of cleaning up the city a lot more. But from what I'm hearing, I guess what's basically could happen is like, yeah, they'll clean up one part of the city, but all the people that are homeless are just going to move to another part of the city. And it's just basically like this water cycle in a way, where they clean up one area, but then another area gets swamped with homelessness. Because there is so many people in the city that are homeless on the streets that, you know, because of the high cost of rent, you know, people can't afford it. I'm literally on that borderline of like, I can't even afford it, but, you know, I still manage to get by, and I'm lucky because, you know, every time I see a homeless person on the streets, you know, I think that really motivates me to say like, hey, I don't ever want to get to that point in my life. I said to myself, that if I ever get to that point where the only way I could stay in Los Angeles was to sleep in a cardboard box, I would leave the city in a heartbeat. I would go back to the Midwest of Michigan and never look back, basically. So that's the one promise I will make to myself, is I will never get to that point in my life. And I hope to God, I pray to God that I never get to that point in my life. So I'm actually here at Skid Road. It's one of the most dangerous parts of Los Angeles, full of homeless encampments, and I wanted to come down here to kind of educate myself of like how people live down here. And I gotta tell you, for the hour that I've been here, it's really sad what I see. Like, you see people living off the streets in cardboard boxes, and if you look behind us, you see like a bunch of trash in the background. But, you know, it just goes to show you, there's one thing about the city that I do like, is that it makes me appreciate the little things to life a lot more. Like having vehicles, you know, to drive, or food on the table, or a roof over my head. You know, when I see things like this, you know, like garbage on the streets in the downtown part of Los Angeles, it makes me really grateful for the area that I do live in. And just, you know, I thank God every day that, you know, my life is good. You know, it could be worse, and it's not, and I'm grateful for that. So, you know, when you're having a bad day, just try to realize that it could be worse, that someone else is probably living a worse day than you. You know, you got to think about it like that. But I feel like another part of why there's so many homeless people is like, a lot of people have mental and physical illnesses where they can't like work at all because of a disability or a mental disability. And thirdly, I feel like honestly, some homeless people out on the streets, like, they choose that lifestyle. Like, they don't even try to get out of that lifestyle. They say, oh, if I just sleep in a cardboard box and just get through the day, I'm good, you know? And, you know, that's not a good way to live in life. I mean, you know, life is so short, you know, to live in a cardboard box your whole life. You know, the number one thing I have learned about being in the city, how important it is to have connections. You know, there's some days where I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have really bad social anxiety about being around other people. If I had the choice, sometimes I wish I could lock myself in a room, lock the door, and just not talk to people for like weeks on out. But I've learned something about being in a city by yourselves, you know, with no connection, no friends, no family, no nothing. You have to talk to people to survive because, you know, without having a family, I mean, it's so hard to manage in any city in general, but especially here in like the West Coast, like in California here, like you gotta go out and talk to people to make those connections to survive out here, because if you don't talk to people, that's another way how you could end up in a cardboard box, you know, by not knowing anyone. Like for me, you know, I have no family out here, so it's like every choice I make can either have a really, really good decision, like a good ending to it, or a really, really bad ending to it. So it's like, you know, I have to watch my back a lot more out here, you know, and that's how important it is to have family. Because, you know, if let's say if you get sick or something where you can't work for weeks on out, like let's say you have back surgery and you can't work for 4 weeks, you know, it's good to have a family that you can stay with as you're recovering, because without that family, you're basically on your own. And if you can't make any money in those 4 weeks, that's a good way to end up homeless on the street. So I can't stress enough how important it is to have a family to survive in California, or in general, anywhere around the world. Okay, so how can you help the homeless crisis in California here? So basically, my advice would be to basically, if you see someone out there that's struggling out on the streets, you know, go up to them and get to know them a little bit. You know, say, hey, how's it going? You know, make conversation, try to make them feel better. See if they need any food, any clothes, you know, any hygiene products. You know, just ask them if, you know, is there anything I can do to make your day a little bit better? I know that can be scary, walking up to a stranger that you don't know, but it can also be very rewarding. So, like, you know, I find it very important to get outside of your comfort zone and, you know, try new things. So I would say, as long as everybody helped one person every day, it would make this world a better place. So I would just say, go out there, you know, volunteer to places, homeless shelters, you know, try to help people in need. And I think that's how we're gonna help the homeless crisis and help people stay off the streets, by just trying to help them out. So okay, my Rockstar family, if you like that video, I recommend you like, comment, and share this video. And until the next video, my Rockstar family, I recommend you stay real, stay original, and continue to kick ass, because we are going to continue to rock on. So until next time, rock on, my Rockstars. Like that. Kaboom.